How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Jody Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and today I am ecstatic to be joined by my friend Max, who's a bona fide comic book writer. Max, welcome to the channel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. Very pleased to be here.
Yeah, I'm over that. I'm looking forward to talking to you, Max, because a little while ago, you were kind enough to send me a digital copy of your comic book, and getting it straight off the kind of the bat here, I loved it. I thought it was a great story.
Thank
I'm
you
a
for reading it. Appreciate it.
I'm a bit of a sci-fi nerd, so I like space and I like adventure and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I really did enjoy the story, but we're going to get on that in a little bit. So just for the viewers at home, Max, let we know where you are at the moment, because you're not kind of near to me, really, are you?
No. I am about 14 hours away from you, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
in Sydney, Australia, right now, where it's 42 degrees, and we are just baking in the hot sun, and there's not a hint of humidity, but I don't mind. I'm very much an indoors person,
Yeah.
as you can see from the bookshelf and the computer behind me.
Yeah.
And I hail from well, when I wrote this comic book, I lived in the city. I lived in Newtown, which arguably is like the cultural center
Yeah.
of of Sydney. And you'll get, I'm sure that'll start a whole lot of arguments from people from Parramatta or
Yeah.
Blue Mountains. But yes, it's where the independent theaters are, and it's where the Dendy, which is an independent cinema, is.
Yeah.
So that's where I lived for a while, and now I live in the Northern Beaches, where I wrote issue 2. So I wrote issue 2 lying on my back with this laptop on my knees, in the gorgeous beaches with the sun, streaming down and water.
It sounds like hell, Max. It sounds like hell. You'd be much more comfortable here in England, where we've currently got snow. Do you know what I mean? That would be nicer.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous to look at. Don't get me wrong, but when you gotta start shoveling that driveway,
Yeah, not
forget
the
it.
best. Not the
No,
best.
no.
So Max, you are a geek like me.
Super
What's your
nerd. Yeah.
background in terms of what's your enjoyment? What do you like? Do you like comic books? Do you like movies, sci-fi? What kind of floats your boat?
All right. Well, behind me is my degree in communication and majoring in film studies. So
Ah,
that's
right.
that's that's what I do for a living. I'm a production all-rounder for a boutique media production company in the Northern Beaches. I mostly edit, so snip, 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 snip. I
Yeah,
liken that to like the cinematographer or the production
yeah,
crew. They give you a whole bunch of footage, and I liken that to clay, and it's putty in my hands. And editing is where you determine the pace, where you
yeah.
determine the character of the movie, and it in many ways that it lives and dies in the editing room.
In terms of movies, then, put
Yes.
you on the spot. What if you had to pick one movie to just sit and you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life? What movie is it? What's your favorite movie?
Look, his favorite movie, of course it changes. It
Yeah,
changes from time to time, but right now I watched Mank very recently, which is it's not a biopic. Gary Oldman portrays Herman Mankiewicz, who is the
right.
writer of Citizen Kane,
Yeah,
and it's a glimpse into his broken uh, state of mind, the ravages of alcoholism,
mhm.
and depression, and Mank coming out of this after being approached by Orson Welles to write Citizen Kane, and that breathing new life into him. And even like as a fan of Citizen Kane, it's very interesting to see how he draws parallels from real life William Randolph Hearst and Marion Crane to Charles Foster Kane and Susan Alexander. Yeah, so I really love those behind the scenes movies like that.
Yeah,
To answer that question, by virtue of having recently seen Mank, I would have to say Citizen
yeah,
Kane at the
yeah.
moment. The dialogue is just so crisp,
Yeah.
to love in our terms. Those are the only terms anybody ever knows, their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
And yeah, the cinematography by Greg Toland. Before, like films before then didn't have that dynamism of playing with
Yeah.
levels and perspective and movement the way that film does.
Yeah.
And it's because Orson Welles didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know the rules,
Yeah. Yeah.
so he was yeah,
Made it
essentially
up as he
learning.
went.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
What
yeah.
about comic books? What's your kind of your favorite line of comics?
All right.
Apart from your own, obviously. Apart from your own.
Uh, that's, it's not. STELLARLANDS isn't quite a line yet, but
Yeah.
right now, I just finished the latest volume 11 of Saga,
Oh
and
yeah.
I, when you read something too quickly and you feel bad at the end of it, but that's a result of Brian's dialogue.
Yeah.
It has so much lore,
Hmm.
and there's such a biographical and historical density to it, but it's all very digestible because it's told in a vernacular, in a speech patterns that's very modern, which is very unusual in a sci-fi setting to hear
Yeah.
like Gen X talk,
Yeah.
like millennial talk, and and the pacing and the selection of and the multi-narrative lines, like you'll have a cliffhanger, and then you'll become invested in a new narrative thread, a subplot with the robot species, and mirror that with a journalist subplot, and they're all interesting. And yeah, you don't get annoyed with one cliffhanger after another, but when you end at a cliffhanger, I mean, they know what they're doing. You just got to keep reading until that cliff is resolved, until that cliff is bridged.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
read that very, very recently. I don't know if it's my favorite, but in terms of a series, I would have to say that it would be Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I
Oh yeah.
read the first two volumes at least once a year. I love that trope of getting a team together in order to either defend or neutralize a threat. Uh, yeah, the character is king, and I think Alan Moore picked five really vivid, alarmingly interesting and flawed characters with who turn out to have amazing visual chemistry, and the dialogue and the banter between each
It's a
character is really good.
stunning. It's an absolutely stunning comic book. It's one of my Alan Moore is one of my favorite writers. To be fair, V for
Yeah,
Vendetta as well is one of my
yeah.
favorites.
Oh.
We'll not talk about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie because that's not good.
Yes.
That's, you know,
I don't even think it's good enough to be a guilty pleasure. That's so
no,
sad.
no.
No.
V for Vendetta as a movie's not bad, mind. That's not bad, but
Yeah.
League of
It,
Gentlemen,
it deviated. It deviated as
yeah,
well, as did the Watchmen. They deviated, but yeah, I can
yeah,
live with those. And I
yeah,
really like the Watchmen HBO adaptation, and
yeah. That was really
it's a
interesting.
shame that Alan Moore is being consistent with his estual of adaptations,
Yeah,
and yeah, he did not get his blessing. His name
no,
isn't even on it, for goodness
no,
sake. But
no,
I hope he does watch it one time,
yeah.
because
Because
it's
it's not a copy of his work. It's
no,
a
it's not.
a different take, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an
Yeah,
interesting show.
it sequelizes it,
Yeah,
but yeah, his ethic is that adaptations view comic books as panels which have just yet to be shot, essentially
yeah.
viewing them as storyboards. I totally get where he's coming from. So yeah, no
Well,
arguments.
speaking of comic books, then tell a little bit about your comic.
Well, my comic book is it's it's a it's a sci-fi with a huge world built around uh like a civilization of coexisting with other alien civilizations, and as a result of generations of interbreeding and your body's changing in space, there are little pockets of metahumans that
Yeah,
exist in the yeah in this timeline, and you have people who are capable of anything from flight to super strength, but uh, powers are within the characterization of the main players, of the protagonists. Powers are very secondary in the hierarchy of narrative importance. I think I try to focus more on the human aspect of this
Yeah,
superhuman. And the wallpaper you have behind us,
yeah.
her name is Anveliza. I mean, I try to put as much groundedness
I think
within the universe as possible.
because I
Yes.
think what I would say, Max, is unlike a lot, because I read a lot of comics, but unlike a lot of the comics I read, this is a very relatable character in terms of her flaws. You know,
Yeah.
she's it could be any one of her. And I don't want to spoil it unless you want to spoil it, but she's got some significant issues.
Yeah,
This
that's
young
not a
lady,
spoiler. That happens in
yeah,
the first 5 pages. So yes,
yeah,
I was about to say that yeah, the human aspect that and the grounded aspect of this character is her struggles with alcohol abuse,
yeah,
and her surmounting that, her conquering that, is in many ways more interesting than her conquering the physical problems with her superpowers.
yeah,
And another grounded aspect of this is the fact that superheroes are corporate sponsored,
yeah,
so they carry around logos and so on. And I think that's, if metahumans did exist within the, our realms of reality, they would definitely be hunted down for their corporate value, for their corporate worth. And yeah, well, this particular issue of Stellar Lands draws a lot of influence on holdout soldiers. Are you familiar with the term of a
yeah,
holdout? Yeah, Japanese soldiers who fought in World War II, who were tasked to secure a stretch of island or this remote peninsula somewhere, and then the Allies were so good at cutting off enemy communications that when the war ended, they had no idea. And
yeah,
you had some Japanese soldiers living well into their 70s and 80s, right up until the 80s, 1980s, just living these skint lifestyles, these
yeah,
wild man lifestyles with in the islands, diligently putting together traps and yeah, securing perimeters, thinking that the war was still going on.
yeah,
Now, you transpose that into a sci-fi setting.
yeah,
So, Anveliza is tasked to contain a base, which was a starship base, which is now abandoned during the war. She's dispatched by the galaxy's equivalent of covert ops,
yeah, yeah,
secure the base in order to secure the intel that's contained within the base. When she lands there, she is greeted by child soldiers whose parents fought in a long forgotten war and who still think the war
yeah,
was still raging. So the parents have long since died, but the kids, who are teenagers when Anveliza meets them, they've lived all their lives thinking that this war was still raging.
mm,
And you have, yeah, one narrative dynamic of Anveliza trying to secure the intel and complete the mission and get that at a girl, that thumbs up from her superiors.
yeah,
And you have another one, another dynamic where she needs to form an alliance with these child soldiers who know the terrain better,
yeah,
who in order to bypass certain threats, and also to get them out of there at some point. Because yeah, they've essentially been trapped and living in this false reality of ongoing war. And then you have the third dynamic of Anveliza, trying to find functionality and amidst her alcohol withdrawals.
yeah.
So yeah, those are the tiers of storytelling that, yeah, happen within the
And
pages.
it all kind of intertwines beautifully, I must say. And again,
Thank you.
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who's going to go pick the book up straight after this. Um, but the ending wasn't what I expected. And I loved it because it wasn't what I expected. If that
Yeah,
makes sense, yeah, it's got an amazing conclusion to the story, and I genuinely cared about the characters. So
yeah,
even though it's
yeah,
just a one issue, so I haven't really had a long time to invest in the characters. By the end of it, you'd managed to achieve me caring about what was going on and what was happening with these individuals. So
yeah. You
yeah,
have to have
I
that
thought it was great.
emotional connection. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I noticed in your review, your counterpart who wasn't so positive in his evaluation.
yeah,
I rewatched it recently, and you could tell that it was coming from an emotional place. I
yeah,
think he had an emotional response to it, and
yeah,
that's this, even with the less flattering reviews. That's something you want.
yeah.
It might have the outcome might have been negative, but it's because that he responded to something,
And that's what you want, isn't it? As a
strongly. Yeah,
creator,
yeah,
you want to hit people in the feels. I guess you want them to actually care. And I think his disappointment was because of the conclusion of the book, that it wasn't morally kind of what he was hoping for.
yes, yeah, yeah,
You know?
and he kept on without giving spoilers. He kept
Yeah,
on like pointing out the creature, like the
yeah,
creature, something happened to the creature. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's pure emotional response,
yeah.
and
Which is great.
I
Which
couldn't
is what
ask
you
for a
want.
better negative review. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's a stunning story, but I have to say as well, Max, the artwork for an independent comic book is phenomenal, absolutely
yeah.
phenomenal. So
Huge compliment to my team of. I shouldn't say that my team. It makes it sound like I own them. My no, no. To collaborators who worked on this project. Ben Worrell, who was the penciler and inker
mhm,
at Ben Likes to Draw, and Anthony Wilson Go, who is the colorist. And a lot of praise is heaped on Ben, and rightfully so. But let's not sleep on the colorist, because they
yeah,
play with light, and they don't call it cinematography for nothing. Cinematography means writing with light, and
yeah,
I think that's literally what colorists do within comic book panels,
absolutely.
because that light design that we see behind us, that was not there after Ben's gorgeous ink and pencil work. It was applied there afterwards, and in ways that I didn't even fathom,
Yeah.
before having seen it in the page.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the colours just make every image just absolutely pop, and it's the vastness of it as well. There's a page, I think it's early on, where it's just the image of the main character in the vastness of space,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really impressive.
when we were composing that scene, I kept asking Ben to make her smaller.
Yeah,
I want to get I want to get a sense of the scale of space, and I want her to look forlorn and lonely, like she's alone with her struggles, and that she's looking into a veritable darkness. Because yes,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
all lights, but a lot of those lights are from stars that have long been extinguished. And yeah, I didn't want speed lines like the one we can see right now. I didn't
yeah,
want speed lines or anything of that nature, because you wouldn't see speed lines in real life, I think. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the emotion is always on the highest priority when
Yeah.
when we're composing panels. And yeah,
So
loneliness was the huge
yeah,
emotion.
you certainly feel that throughout it. So speaking of panels, then in issue one of Stellar Lands, have you got a favourite panel?
Yes, it's I do actually. It's because a lot of comic book creators, they put themselves in their characters a lot,
Yeah,
and I put a lot of myself in Anveliza. Myself and Anveliza, we don't like kids. I mean, I'm not a kid person.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's just hard getting through to them, especially when they're teenagers. Or empathy, that really doesn't kick in to a significant degree until we're maybe in our 20s, I think. or
yeah, yeah,
or maybe there might just be something wrong with me, that I didn't have that mature empathy when I was a teenager. But there's a panel where the kids, yeah, yeah, I guess you're showing it now, where
yeah,
the kids identify Anvelize's alcohol withdrawal, and she's like, alcohol, how do you even know what alcohol is? And then the kids give an explanation of how their mother repurposed their an outpost into an agri station, and they have access to wheat. And they're like, oh yeah, half the wheat we make gets turned into bread. What do you think the other half gets made into? And Anvelize goes, more beer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
I think that's such a well structured scene. There's a joke there. It builds a world of scientific value where these kids were raised in a scientifically
yeah,
literate environment because their mother was repurposing an agri station. It highlights both Advelize's problems with alcoholism, but also she knows it's a problem. She doesn't want other people
yeah,
to go through it or even be aware of it. And yeah, it also shows the intelligence of the kids, that they're able to discern this information. So
yeah.
it's like all of that is packed in one scene. I got to give our team a huge pats on the back, a huge roses for being able to tell that story and give that information and
Yeah.
elicit that.
It's a
Yeah,
great scene, and again, it highlights that these kids have been out there surviving. They're
yeah,
not just there waiting for someone to rescue them. And
yeah,
again, not going to go into spoilers, but they are complex characters in themselves,
yes.
which again I really enjoyed. I wanted to mention to you
Yep.
one of my favorite parts of the book, and it reminded us of a movie called Starship Troopers. Don't know if you've seen Starship Troopers, but
Yeah, yeah, famous.
it was kind of the adverts that just appeared, every now and
Right,
then, and I just loved them because they were just so interesting and
right,
so.
right.
In a lot of the products, I was thinking, "Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind one of them." So where did that idea come from? What was that?
Oh, look, I got it from Ubik, Ubik. It's a novel by Philip K. Dick, and it deals with like virtual, not like a sort of virtual worlds where the protagonists hook themselves up to machines, and then
Right.
yeah, they find themselves in another terrain. But yeah, there are sort of like mini pages between each chapters that deal with the product of Ubik.
Yeah.
But unlike Starship Troopers, Ubik sort of relates to those
Yeah.
sub chapters find their way to the main chapters, and that's what I wanted to do with these chapters. So yeah, this is a spoiler, so I won't say how, but I will say that those ads do relate to the main story at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Max, the book is very, very interesting. As I've said, I really enjoyed it. If people want to pick it up, how do they get access to it? Where can they go and buy it?
Yeah, well, we are on Kindle. So yeah, if you guys have no problem with the Bezos, please give us a purchase on Kindle Unlimited or Amazon Kindle. It's 10 USD. I don't know how that
Yeah.
currency changes. Yeah, but that's eminently affordable. If you're a digital reader, yeah, Kindle Create has, yeah, as you know, like in Comixology, it zooms into certain panels,
Yeah.
and yeah, I determine those the panels and the zooming mechanisms, and the pacing between each zoom. So yeah, just go. You can get us on the link, which is up right now, or yeah, just search STELLARLANDS on Kindle, and we are there. And for
Excellent.
all you physical readers, if you're, yeah, I like a physical book too, but yeah, if but there are challenges mostly with shipping,
Yeah.
but go to the COMX shop at COMX, and yep, the link is here right now, and yeah, you can purchase a book there. And COMX is my publisher. These guys,
Yeah.
and they have some really incredible titles there. There's another dystopian sci-fi called Battle for Bustle. There's this brutal anthropomorphized noir called Bin Kitty. There's there's these very kinetic revenge stories from Liza Ray, and yeah, there's quite a few great titles there. Battery
And
Hen, which yeah.
Max, are they just a publisher, or do you do? So I'm quite familiar with kind of crowdfunding and things like that. Is that how the comics
Yes.
are? Yeah,
Yes, yeah. So yeah, COMX does publish, and that's where you can get the physical copies of our books. But in order to create the comics, to pay the artists and the colorists and so on, you need you need some capital. I
yeah,
mean, yes, it's not. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's an expensive passion, because I work in film. You know,
yeah,
if you want
yeah,
an expensive passion, yes, go into film. But yeah, it is very affordable and facilitatable, and but most of that happens within the Kickstarter community.
yeah,
So we get the word out through Kickstarter, and we make our we accumulate our sales through pledges
yeah,
on Kickstarter, and and Kickstarter, they're they're very successful when it comes to comic books. Comic
yeah.
books are their most successful.
So I
Yeah.
back a lot of books on Kickstarter. So when you're getting ready to do Stellar Lands issue 2, 3, 4, will that be up on Kickstarter to
Yes,
support? Yeah,
yes. Issue 2 is already out as a pre-launch page where you click notify. So the link is right here. So yeah, give us a notify. Yeah, and yeah, you'll be kept up to date on the processes there. We're aiming for a March or February campaign,
brilliant.
and yeah, this issue 2 follows a new set of characters in Stellar Lands universe, and I'll just say that this one is more of a love story within a military base in a moon, between a soldier and a local. And
Okay,
yes, my big influence here was Blankets. I love Blankets by Craig Thompson, and I read and I reread that masterpiece over and over while I was creating Cellar Lands 2. There were other books as well, like Box Office Poison and Paul
yeah,
Has a Summer Job, but yeah, Blankets was the beacon in this
okay,
particular
interesting.
instance. Yeah.
So is it the same art team on issue 2, or is it a
Yep.
separate?
Yep. Everybody. We've already done the art, and we're in the process of coloring. So Ben and Anthony or we're part of that, and yeah, I intend to approach the letterer, SK, and the editor Katrina
Brilliant.
when we're at that stage.
And just for the guys watching, what's the long term plan here? How many issues have we got of this series, or and is there
Oh
an overarching? Have you got it
yes,
mapped out at the moment in your head?
I yes, I do. I've written all. It's going to be 8 issues, and I've
Yeah,
already had all 8 issues written. I read.
superb.
Yeah, wrote them in a blaze of lockdown energy
Yeah,
in 2001, when Australia was locked down for 3 months. I know a lot of people struggled, and I'm very sorry to hear that, but I am a massive introvert and I got a lot done.
yeah,
I learned the ukulele. I learned a bit of Spanish badly. Yeah, mi nombre Martin, la Casa Película, yes. And I wrote a comic book,
yeah,
and yeah, I guess I have lockdown to thank for that.
yeah.
As yeah, as curiously morbid as that sounds, because I know lockdown was not great for a lot
No,
of
no,
people.
no. And I
Yeah,
mean, for a lot of people, I think it did give them that opportunity to just put the brakes on and take a breather, and to invest in things that perhaps they put off for a while. So it's great that some positivity came out of it.
yeah,
For a
no,
lot
that's a
of
good
people.
perspective. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah. I've been sitting around guilty, telling people how much I had a good time during lockdown, but that makes me feel less bad.
Yeah. So listen, we'll start to wrap it up here, Max. Can I just encourage everybody to go and check out? We'll put all the links in the description. They'll be on screen.
Yes.
Please
Buy
just
the
go.
digital copy at Kindle,
Yeah,
buy a physical copy at COMX, and gives issue 2 a notify and on the Kickstarter pre-launch page.
yeah. So I will definitely be jumping straight on to notify, so I can back issue 2 when it comes out. It's been lovely talking to you, Max. When issue 2 hits the kind of the stands and whatnot, as it were, will you come back and talk to her again about issue 2 and how
Yeah,
it's progressing?
definitely. Oh, yeah, we'll do another one of these during the campaign.
Yeah,
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 yeah, that'll definitely be effective. I mean, for anybody who is watching, I know a lot of comic creators watch live streams and shows like this, but when during if you're struggling to get pledges during your campaign, okay, there's a spike at the beginning and then there's a spike at the end. In the middle, that's the hardest part.
yeah,
But whenever I'm on shows or live streams like this, especially when they're live,
yeah.
that's when you'll get the spike. That's when you
Right.
get more people pledging. So yeah, Peter, you offer a very invaluable service,
Not a problem at
especially
all. Well,
for people.
what we'll do, Max, is we'll get this video out so
Yeah.
people can learn a little bit about the book, and then probably after Christmas we'll get you. But I do a show called This Is My, where I get people to come on and we'll ask questions about what's your favourite movie and all that kind of stuff, and you get to show off anything in your personal collection that you want to do. So we'll get you on that, and you can chat with her and give us some tales of your life.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it'll be interesting, but I look forward to it.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. Okay, thank you very much, Max, and thank you for everybody that's watching. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Thank you.